What's up, guys, and welcome back to my channel. And if you're new here, then welcome to our little corner of the internet. Today we're going to be watching a video titled America's Fallen Cities, Hartford. Let's see what this video is about.
This is Hartford, Connecticut, another historical city that is now dominated by suburbia and car-centric development with modernist architecture. Unlike the Rust Belt cities in the previous episodes whose population decline has stabilized relatively in recent decades, Hartford has experienced major population decline in the 21st century and at the current moment, being one.
It looks really pretty though. I want to say it. I want to say it so bad, but I'm not going to say it.
One of the poorest cities in the United States. However, the city is also a major insurance and medical hub, but clearly, this money is going into the suburbs rather than the city. There's a reason why several of you opted to include this city in the series. Just look at the state of the downtown above and you can see that something isn't right here. The Connecticut riverfront is dominated by the I-91, leaving just a sliver of public space for the riverfront, and the I-84 slices right through the city center, and not exactly subtly. And then there's unbearable amounts of surface parking all around the perimeter of the city center, particularly on the north side of downtown.
Oh my
And what
god.
isn't parked?
That is heaven. I wish they made more parking spots here. I don't get it. Why not? Like it's impossible to park here. And when you come home,
Parking is hardly worth a mention either. In fact, historical beautiful buildings make up just a fraction of Hartford and its city center, with several on Pratt Street, a small dedicated historical district. But for the most part, the city is modernist through and through, and not in a good way at all, because this was Hartford, Connecticut.
wow.
Hartford is one of the oldest cities in the country, and used
Looks like it gives like Brooklyn vibes.
to be one of the wealthiest. Mark Twain, who lived here, said, "Of all the beautiful towns, it has been my fortune to see this, the chief." And it's clear to see why. It was a picturesque New England town with charming Victorian
Wow.
architecture with a pre-grid layout. Truly a marvel of this region of the country, and when compared to older versions of the Rust Belt cities of the first 3 episodes in the series, you can really start to appreciate the rich regional differences in aesthetic, while maintaining a certain American undertone. But the amount of destruction that took place here in the mid-century is so far unrivaled to any other city I've mentioned in this series. While we've seen entire neighborhoods razed, Hartford was essentially wiped and replaced in totality, with really a few exceptions.
It looks really pretty, but it's true that having the highways there like right next to the water is not maybe the best choice, because this could have been like a very, very nice waterfront, something. But I don't know. I think it still has a lot of potential. I think it's really, 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 really pretty.
Totality, with
I would
really a
live
few
there.
exceptions. Most blocks were entirely replaced, roads were widened, parking was laid, and the deadening of some of America's oldest streets were underwent in a truly brutal fashion. You really have to see it to truly understand
Ooh.
the extent of this transformation. You'd be hard-pressed to find any other major city, even in America, that rivals its
Wow.
dismantling.
That is actually crazy. Look at how many buildings they took down. That's crazy. Why?
And now for some of the most notable places that have been lost.
No. Why would you do that? Look at how pretty it used to look. Who did this? Whose idea was this? Where do I file a complaint? Horrible. I hate it. Wow, look at that, so pretty. No, but seriously, like why wouldn't you just leave them? Because doesn't it cost even more to like redo everything? Like, why would you do that? I don't get it.
And here's the best of what few remains.
Beautiful.
I'm going to leave my America's Fallen Cities series here for now, and Hartford seems like the perfect place to finish off. It is a true encapsulation of the mid-century urban renewal that tore apart our cities and turned them into the ugly, car-centric high-crime places that they largely are today. While some cities are doing better than others for one reason or another, what is clear is that the foothold modernist ideology had at the time and continues to have until this day has had devastating effects in urban cores and small towns alike throughout the country. Nationwide, we have seen a loss in culture and community over the last several decades.
Hartford still looks nice, but it definitely doesn't look as nice as before. I would love to know, like, whose idea was that though? Like what were they thinking? What were they thinking? It was so pretty before. Why would you do that? No, I don't. I'm angry.
Are there other very important reasons as to why this is? Of course. But to think that going from having beautiful, pedestrian-centered cosmopolitan cities to car-centric, ugly, and forcefully atomizing cities has had no effect on this would be delusional at best. After all, there's a reason why we yearn so much for such beauty, whether it's the exorbitant amount of money Americans spend going on vacations to Europe, or the sky-high prices of places like New York, San Francisco, and Boston that have managed to retain a good amount of their beauty in human-centric urbanism. Obviously, even those three cities have massive problems that hold them back severely in their livability and enjoyability, but these generally have nothing to do with them being ugly or boring, and more so just awful policy on social issues. But why is Hartford the perfect example of the modernist takeover? Well, here you have one of the oldest and formerly most beautiful cities in the country, and it was destroyed by our own hands more heavily than any European city bombed out in World War II, and worst of all, was replaced by freeways and parking or forgettable tacky garbage. And why? People have pointed out different reasons that all hold merit. The car, racism, lobbying, and both capitalism and socialism. Yes, you really can trace quite a bit to both of those, surprisingly enough, but that's for another video. Either way.
But they still could have built on top of it. Come here. I see you're like walking around in circles. What are you doing? Hello. Say hello to your YouTube friends. Yeah.
For me, while these reasons are all important, what is missing is that at the core, what led to this was a complete disregard of the achievements of the past, a misunderstanding of what made for a healthy, functioning society, and a sick radicalism amongst urban planners and architects who only cared about themselves, and not the centuries of tradition that had refined city and town building before them, and certainly not the people that were affected by their decisions. Simply put, a society that values beauty, heritage, culture, and livability simply doesn't allow this to happen. This is why Paris never fell to Le Corbusier, Amsterdam to Jokinen, and why Dresden, Potsdam, Warsaw, and Budapest are rebuilding what had once made their cities great, regardless of whatever issues each of these places faced at the time or in
Oh my goodness, where is this from? That's
the
crazy.
current moment. We can debate on the other reasons as long as we want, but first and foremost, we have to value beauty in order to preserve it, reconstruct it, and expand it. The question is, do we value that in America today? Sort of. Instinctively, yes, but actively, not really. And it's not necessarily our fault. Most of us grew up in and amongst our mid century creations, and it's simply all that we know. But what I hope is that this series showed that we have done better and that we can do better. All we have to do is dare to look back. Thank you all for watching. I'll see you next time with America's rising cities. This
I feel like architecture before was, in my eyes, it was prettier as well, but I understand why it would change for the rapid need of homes and, making buildings and all of that. Right, Fendi? Fendi agrees. But Hartford still looks pretty. If I didn't see the before pictures, I'd say, oh, that's a pretty place. But when seeing the before and after is very, very drastic and kind of disappointing, But let me know what your thoughts in the comments below, guys. Thank you for joining me for this video. I really hope you enjoyed it. Please leave a like, subscribe if you haven't yet, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!